and sit down. Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Build Paint Play. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jake, and we have a special guest with us today.
Other side, Jake.
On mine?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this way, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, down here for us, it is Victoria Lamb from Victoria Miniatures. Hey, Victoria, how you doing?
Hello. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, very cool. Thanks for joining us. I know it's bright and early in Adelaide, well, in South Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
So
it's just after breakfast.
Just after breakfast, fantastic. I've just finished dinner.
Same.
Jake, nice. There we go.
Same.
So we all have full bellies. That's nice. Excellent. So No, thank you very much for coming on. We want to have a chat with you. It's very cool that we can get to chat just before your current Kickstarter finishes up. And
Yeah.
we can have a talk about all
30
the trials and tribulations of Kickstarters.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, definitely cool. But before we jump into everything Victoria Lamb and Victoria Miniatures, Jake, what have you been up to?
This week I did. Started working on the other half of the Leviathan box to finish up the store copy.
Okay.
We showed the Combat Patrol a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
I started working on the other half, so I basically did the base coats and did the washes, and then this week I'm going to try to dry brush them up and start working on the layering and stuff. And then I, for whatever reason, decided to open up my Marvel Zombies Simon Galactus.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen him in person. He's about the same size as a Warlord Titan.
Yeah.
He is enormous. And now I'm like, oh, do I paint him or do I just do I decide not to? Like, it's huge. He's
Yep.
this big. He's a toddler.
Yeah.
And a kid came in the store the other day with his Warlord Titan, and I was like, I'm gonna set up Galactus next to it. Galactus is the same. He is just as big as a Warlord Titan. The only cool thing is he comes printed in purple plastic.
Yep.
Standing on a giant silver world engine thing that he rides.
Right.
So I was gonna just clear coat it and then wash it because he's mostly purple.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that way I can paint over the purple and do layering and stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, do I want to spend that much time painting Galactus? It's gonna take pots and pots and pots and pots of paint to do him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I haven't decided if I'm going to take the plunge and paint him. I might just be like, hey, who wants to buy Galactus? Maybe I don't need him.
Maybe you could paint him up like a statue, like a statue carved out of marble or
Maybe
cast in bronze or something like that.
We'll see.
That could be fun. Could be good.
But that's all I've been up to hobby wise.
Right. I am super excited now. I'm almost finished with my Leagues of Votan. I've got a photo to show a fun conversion at the end of the show. But now I'm getting started on my Falling Stars Space Marines. What do you call it? My Primaris Space Marines. So I'm excited to get those happening. Which would be super cool. So I've done some 3D printing. I found a Marines Errant icon.
Oh yeah, it's
STL.
really similar.
Yeah, it's sort of, there's a star with a big sort of flare behind it. So I've just switched over to that. That's what I'm going to use for the icon now. And so I've gone in and started gluing it onto the shoulder pads of the Space Marines.
Cool.
And I have these fun helmets.
Cool. So the Falling Stars, are they like an original chapter that you've come up with?
Yeah. Yep. So
Yeah.
I was in Iceland in the last week of June with my daughter, and we had a great time wandering around. And there are a bunch of basically the sound of the language, and the environment and the colors of the environment really sort of inspired me and gave me sort of a bunch of cool ideas about what I can finally do with Primaris Marines, because up until now it's been like I haven't really had a plan or a sort of impetus to do anything with them. So yeah, super excited now to get stuck in. They're going to be where is he?
Is it up on the wall behind you?
No, he's not. I think I took him off his little painting thing. I can't find him. He's in here somewhere. I have a test paint model. But at the moment I'm going through and building and converting and all that sort of stuff. Eventually. When I say eventually, probably in about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I'll start work on those. It'll be great. Unfortunately, I haven't played any games, but Nova Open is coming up very soon, end of next week. So I'll be there running the team of judges for the Capital Palette painting competition. So if anybody is coming along, make sure you bring something for that. join in and say hi. I'm also going to take my Leagues of Votan Combat Patrol along and hopefully get some games in while I'm there, just some pickup games.
What's in that Combat Patrol? I don't know what's in theirs.
In that one, it is the Chthonian Berserks, a squad of Hearthkin Warriors, 10 Hearthkin Warriors, a squad of the Pioneers, the floaty bikers, and a Carl, the leader.
Okay.
So it's not too bad. It's all right. I've done okay with. I played one game with it, and I did okay. Where I had a very lucky shot with my Magna Rail cannon or Magna Rail rifle and killed 2 Terminators in one blow. So I was happy with that.
It's the way to do it, because they'll get you.
Then it took me the rest of my army to kill the other 3 Terminators, and then I died horribly. But anyway, that's how that went. All good. How about you, Vic? Have you been doing any personal hobby projects?
That would be nice, but unfortunately not really. Not while I have a Kickstarter in full flight. It's I like to think about things I'm going to do, but I haven't had much time to do them lately.
Right.
But on the other hand, I mean, doing a Kickstarter does give me an excuse to do some painting, and I don't do a lot of painting these days. I'm mostly sculpting or working for the company. So yeah, it's I've done a lot of hobby lately. Just most of it has been very intensely channeled into the Kickstarter.
Right. Excellent. I saw this morning he posted the sort of the final stretch goal for the campaign, the banner bearer and the bugler. Or I guess it's a bugle arm and a banner arm.
Yeah, and there's also will be some pennants to put on the lancers in that bundle as well. We had a lot of the backers wanting the banner and the bugle. That was sort of number one request. Right. So we had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta be able to run full command. I mean,
well, it's not in the rules, but if you want it, you get it.
Yep.
It's all good. Yeah.
So you got
I've just got my banner bearer here. This is here we go. This
awesome.
It's one of the Van Diemen's World Devils there with his flag. So yeah, I think you got to do a banner, don't you, for these guys? It just looks so cool.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was about to jump into some questions that I'm going to save for a little bit later down the track, but I think we should jump in. First off, we'll say hi to we've got Patrick Keith in the chat. So Patrick Keith from Bombshell. Patrick says, "Hey V, congrats on your awesome Warhorse Kickstarter campaign." So,
thanks, Patrick. Yep. Really cool. And Paul Johnson's there. He's actually going to be manufacturing Warhorse in Australia.
Awesome.
So, hi, Paul.
Hey, Paul. Paul's at Aetherworks. Awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. Was Paul at Gen Con this year? I'm not sure.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Yeah, I missed Gen Con, so unfortunately I missed catching up with Paul. But no, fantastic. And we've got Josh as well, saying, Josh Potter, ahoy all. Ahoy.
What's going on, Josh?
Fantastic. Excellent. And Patrick has fessed up. He says I still owe you some sculpts too.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, Patrick. But if you want to out yourself here, go for it. Yes,
awesome.
Yes. But we can talk. We'll talk later.
Excellent stuff.
Oh,
that's
good.
Nice.
It's worth the wait, Patrick. It's worth the wait. It's all fine.
Yep. Cool. I think so. Just getting our next scene ready. Paul says, "Yep, first year. I miss you, Dave. Miss you too, Paul. Next year, fingers crossed. Next year I'll be at Gen Con. That'll be good. It'd be super cool. And Josh says, great to be here again. Do you mean here, or it was great to be at Gen Con again? Because I know Josh gave us all of our
Let's just assume it's both.
Yeah, it's always both. There we go. Okay, I am going to switch our slide here over to a spectacular piece by Vic that we'll talk about in a second. But what I'm going to do...
I've seen this. I do remember this.
You do remember this. Yeah, everybody remembers this. If you've been in the hobby for more than 5 minutes, you will have seen this piece and know what it is. It's the rescue of Sister Joan. But actually, what I'll do is I'm going to go back to, just to keep everybody guessing. We'll come to that in a minute. But I was going to launch by asking you, Vic, how did you get started in toy soldiers and painting miniatures and that sort of thing as a hobby?
Yeah, it go like all ever since I was a kid. I just really loved making things. Always was making stuff and models and so on. I didn't actually encounter miniatures as such till I was in my teens. It wasn't really a thing in Adelaide. I'd never heard of Dungeons and Dragons or never heard of Games Workshop, but my local hobby shop where I would go all the time and I would do a lot of the... I used to build a lot of the Japanese kits and things like that. I really like the science fiction stuff. And I was probably around... in my mid-teens, I would have been. And my local hobby shop had a second-hand box of plastic Space Marines, and it was the old RTB01, the original beaky plastics. Right? And I thought, well, they're cool. I didn't know what they were. I mean, at first I thought little robot dudes. I didn't even know they were people. So I bought this box, took them home, made some little dioramas and things with them. And then the shop started to stock a little bit of GW. I think I bought my first White Dwarf magazine was 113.
Okay.
And that was it. Just there was no looking back after that. That I was hooked. It was about the same time the original Space Hulk came out, and so that was my first game I bought. First miniature game, I guess. Yeah, no, I was just absolutely hooked. It just was a hobby that I never grew out of.
Yep. No, that's awesome. That's cool. Did you have you started? So I think I started in a very similar fashion with buying like a box of around about a similar sort of fashion, buying a box of RTB01 Marines and painting them up and using them as a chess set.
Oh yeah.
So,
I think there'd been a few attempts at a chess set in my time as well.
Right.
That's cool.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. When did you and I first meet at your local hobby store in probably 96? I have a feeling that's when it was. When I just before when I was down in Adelaide to open up the first Adelaide Games Workshop store.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah. If not at the Demons, but it was probably.
Yeah, I think it was
Adelaide,
Nathan Brown might have brought me down to the store, but.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah, good old Brownie.
Yep.
So cool. Yeah, would have been great. So we'll fast forward a bit from that potential meeting. Because I got to admit, I never remember where I've met people exactly. It's just, over the years, you just meet so many people. It's just like, but I think it was then. Anyway, I definitely know that once we started running the Golden Demons in Australia, that you certainly made an impact there with some wonderful pieces. What sort of led you down sort of the path of working on these dioramas?
I guess the dioramas. I mean, when the Demons came to Australia, I was so excited because I'd been reading the White Dwarfs and looking at the ones in the UK and just was, really wanted to go in the Demons. I was kind of fiercely competitive and really just wanted to test myself against the competition. So when the Demons came to Australia, that was fantastic. Dioramas really, because my other job is in the live theatre industry, which I worked since a teenager as a sort of stage manager then kind of came up through eventually as a designer, set and costume designer. So I really love the live theatre, and dioramas are kind of an extension of that, I guess. I really like creating a world, a set, and a narrative. I really love telling stories with miniatures, and even if it's just a single character, I always try to get a bit of a story in there, to bring it to life and history. So the dioramas, with diorama category and the demons, couldn't resist. It's just got to be, oh my god, okay, let's go crazy. Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
So it was 2001. I'm bringing up the Rescue of Sister Joan image now. It's 2001 that you brought this over to Sydney. So at the Horden Pavilion in Sydney.
Yeah.
And entered the Golden Demons there. So what was it like putting this or entering this in the morning and wandering around the rest of the show?
It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, the demons I guess anyone who's entered, it's so nerve-wracking. And any painting competition, I mean, there's only so much you can technically get right. I mean, there's always a random element to any competition. So a lot of it's luck. The skill will get you so far, and luck will get you the rest of the way, I think, with painting contests. But it's so great to just... It's not until you see everything in the flesh, and even if you don't win, seeing what wins and what doesn't win you learn so much just looking at other people's stuff and seeing your own stuff next to it. I remember those early mornings rocking up at the pavilion for the demons in Australia, and there'd be usually the last minute scrabble outside the gates for super glue. Everyone's like, oh, my things, or you get the people who are like still trying to dry the paint,
Right. Yep.
It was pretty mad.
Yep.
There was so much fun. It was really exciting though. At that time, there were not a lot of women in the room, and there certainly weren't too many on the winners' podium as such. But it was just great. It was the biggest miniature event in Australia at the time, or possibly the only one, and it was really fun.
Right. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I can remember. Folks like Glenn Lamprecht and Lee Carpenter, and their entries. A whole bunch of other great folks there, but the Rescue of Sister Joan. I think as we chatted about briefly before the show, it's kind of it was like an incredibly important moment in the storytelling use, I guess, of object source lighting and miniature painting. So I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations about that over the years.
Yeah. Yep. Inspired by Mordheim at the time. I mean, this was in the height of the Mordheim golden age, I guess.
Yep.
And Mordheim was such a narrative game too, which was fantastic. So this idea of rescuing Joan from the witch hunters, I just thought that was a really fun idea. The OSL, I think it had been done a little bit by historical modelers before. But it was also kind of just trying to make it as theatrical as possible. And the OSL, I mean, I hadn't done it before. It was kind of an afterthought in a way. Okay. I mean, I sort of wanted to do it, but I didn't really know how. So I'd made the whole diorama, painted the whole diorama, and then kind of just a couple of days before the demons went, all right, let's just try. Let's just chuck some orange paint in there and see what happens. And
did it happen by accident? Because I can totally imagine painting that whole diorama and being like, okay, this guy's done, and putting him in there and then being like, oh, that looks really dark. Like, why does that look dark? And then being like, oh, maybe, is that kind of how you got to that process of being like, how do I make this not look like it's dark and his torch is real?
Yeah, well, it was kind of it was an idea from the outset. It's like, well, I put the torch near the wall, so the wall can be the, you know, can illuminate the torch for me. But again, I didn't really kind of commit to the OSL till very late in the process, just because I was not sure if it would work or if people would get what I was trying to do. You know, they might just go, "Why has this got orange paint all over it?" You know, I don't know. But anyway, the stars aligned and it hit the spot. So it was really, really fun.
That's awesome.
And it's currently the actual model, and the thing too at the time. I mean, the stonework in that is built out of this stuff called balsa foam. It's not very strong. I didn't build it to last. I didn't really think people would still be looking at it
22 years later.
decades later. Yes. But it is currently on. Well, I don't know if it's still on display, but it's currently in the collection at Warhammer World, where it was on display there. So I assume they've looked after it.
Right. Was that part of their? Was like 30 years of Golden Demon.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I sent a few pieces over to them. They asked for some. I've never been to Warhammer World actually.
Okay.
So they asked for some pieces, and because it's shipping them is kind of perilous.
Yep.
So when they were sort of done, they were interested in them staying in the collection for a while. So I'm like, yeah, fine.
Yep.
That's okay. They don't need to travel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that you almost like. You maybe you'd want to go over and box those up to bring them home. Yep.
I figured, yeah, look, if I get there, I'll maybe pack them up at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
They just send it back in a bag with some super glue, and they're like, "Yeah, you can just take her when you get there."
Here we go.
Yeah, no, don't even want to think about it. Although, yeah, they have been repaired quite a few times over the years already. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's all good.
No doubt.
And of course, the miniatures are metal. You know, they're metal miniatures, and you know they kind of come loose and rattle around, and yeah,
Yep.
chip. So,
What are the steps
Yeah.
that they're on? Are the steps made out of foam core or?
it's a stuff called balsa foam. It's
Oh, and
like
balsa foam as well for the steps.
yeah, the whole thing's balsa foam. It's almost like the inside of foam core. It's kind of a
Okay.
brittle sort
That
of
is, yeah.
not very robust foam.
Okay.
Anyway,
Crazy. Crazy.
yeah, in retrospect, I would have made it much stronger.
Right. Awesome. Is that a product that you use a lot in like set mock-ups, or was it just something that you had to hand?
It was something I discovered. I think I got it from Micromart or something, and people used it for prototyping. I think machine parts. You could sort of carve it quite nicely.
Okay.
So I used it for a few things. Yeah, like way back in the day, I made a sort of a board game thing called Labyrinthus. It's like a stone labyrinth, and the masters for that were also made out of this stuff. So yeah, it was handy, but I wouldn't touch it now that I can 3D print stuff instead.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So James is here saying, I hope we see the picture of the Sister of Battle versus the Killer Can piece. Well, we'll see what happens in a few minutes, James. Just says, I wondered if it was polystyrene foam or balsa foam. It's a ground-breaking piece of work. Absolutely. And Sean has joined us. Hey, Sean. Welcome.
What's up, Sean?
Hey, Sean.
And so here we go. James, your wish is our command. So is this the Fiery Angel piece? So the Sisters of Battle Seraphim with the hand flamers torching the Orc Dread.
Yeah, this thing's awesome.
So this one was it's kind of the follow-up major OSL piece to...
yeah, this was kind of the sequel.
Yeah.
The sequel.
So is this like
now
Sister
Jones in the future?
Yeah, escaping from orcs. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, they're metal models.
Yeah.
So that leg the Killer Can's standing on, that's that's a weak point.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Although I did not use balsa foam for the rocks this time. This time I think they're female or something. They're much stronger. So.
Right. Excellent. It's something something you can run a pin through. Right.
That's right. Yes, there is a very hefty bit of coat hanger wire going through that dreadnought's leg, and yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. No, that was a really fun one. Pretty controversial at the Demons though.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the thrills and spills of competition painting,
Right.
because this was entered in the duel category.
Okay.
Not in diorama, it was in duel, and it got bronze.
Right.
And this was people. I've been asked many times why it got bronze, and the reason I was given by the judges is because the two combatants are not evenly matched.
Ah. That little
So
little
What does
chestnut.
that do with the painting?
yeah,
There's a little line.
Dave
in
and
the
I did a
description
whole
there.
Dave and I did a whole episode about judge bias, and there is a lot of it, and it drives me nuts.
Yep.
I like having
It's-
a laid out rubric so I can see exactly what's what and why I got what I got.
Yep.
yeah,
It's a lot. When it's a lot of like it could be. It's like, well, we gave you a bronze. You're like, why? It's like Steve doesn't like Sisters of Battle, and you're like, what? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
yeah. Look, that it happens. It's
Yeah.
just how competitions roll. Another year, I believe I was a sword contender, but one of the judges, because I'd bring out one of the studio guys from the UK every year, which was really cool. We usually got a sculptor or someone. Anyway, one of the judges was the sculptor of these miniatures that I'd entered, and he didn't want to pick one of his own miniatures as the winner. Okay, fair enough.
That's
Damn.
that's no good.
That's when you as a judge need to recuse yourself and go. Someone else needs to pick.
Somebody else needs to make this choice. Yeah.
That stuff drives
So
me.
yes, I think my competition painting days are behind me, but I really had a lot of fun doing it. So it was great, and it really pushes you. It pushes you hard to come up with different ideas.
Yeah.
Did you use are those bits of spring for his arms?
Yeah, it's actually his arms are there's thick wire inside of them, and it's soft soldering wire wrapped around.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really give it that the sort
Yeah.
of Doc Ock feel.
Yeah, for sure. He's got that like the wiggly like Doc Ock arms. Those are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of want to get like a retro sci-fi feeling
Yep.
there. So, yeah, I like it.
I think
That one's super cool.
I think this piece, both of these pieces really drive home to me something that you taught in an OSL class at Adepticon in like 2013, 2014 that I took.
Yeah.
And it's that if you're doing some object source lighting, the lighting, the thing that's creating the lighting should be the lightest part of the model, or the diorama, the scene, whatever. And to make it stand out, to give it that pop that it deserves, you need to surround it with darkness. You need to surround it with that shadow. So
Yeah.
and it was at that point I realized that every single attempt at OSL that I'd done was with like somebody, like not in a background, but somebody holding up a torch or holding out a crystal ball or something like that. Like that was nowhere near anything else that could be a dark background. So it was like, why does this look odd? As soon as I think I painted a wizard a couple of years ago who was holding a glowing orb, but he had it held tight like that around his body. And I was like, oh, I can do it now. I can do it. This can be the first mini that I actually get that working right.
Yeah. There's cheats. There's ways to make it much easier for yourself, and definitely having a background to do your lighting on, like Sister Joan does. That makes it much easier. But of course, these days, I mean, there are incredible painters around now who have taken that POSL just to an absolute another level of, out of this world. So
Yep.
it's, and they've come up with all sorts of other workarounds. And yeah, I mean, really what I was doing was a very basic version of it. There's some crazy pieces around these days.
There are, yeah, there's definitely some fantastic stuff. But
Yeah.
this is now I'm just going to bring up your the Stannis Baratheon model with the red lady and the
Yep.
Is that a flaming sword?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, that one. Yes, I didn't use balsa foam for the bricks this time.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. This one was actually commissioned by George R.R. Martin himself. He's a absolute hardcore miniature enthusiast and has a massive collection of painted models. I mean, I haven't seen his collection, but I believe he collects models from all kinds of painters and so on. So, yeah, he asked for these models in this scene and with the, I guess, trademark OSL. So that was really, really fun to do.
Yeah, that's
Could have held it over his head and been like, George, you can have this when you finish the series.
Well, I did take a long time to finish the commission, so I probably couldn't make too many demands.
This is how it feels, George.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, it's a fantastic
Yeah,
piece. I think it looks absolutely awesome.
Fun.
Great.
Yeah.
And
What are the models? What are those models from? Are those from Dark Sword?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because I know Dark Sword had the license for a while. They did all the metal ones, and that's how if you buy all the CMON stuff now, it says Game of Thrones, and then it says it has his name on it, and then it says Dark Sword Miniatures, and then it has the CMON logo.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. These are metal Dark Sword miniatures, and they're compared to the chunky GW sort of stuff that I would normally paint. They're very small with very fine details.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're very similar to like the Perry Brothers stuff. They're like, I think they're technically 28 mil, but they're not 28 mil heroic. They're like true 28 mil.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. They're very, very fine.
Yep. No, absolutely awesome there.
It's great work. It's great work.
Yep. Paul said he got to hold that one. It's a lot of lead in that piece. I'm sure he's talking about the
Yeah, he's talking about the Dreadnought.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That's a heavy dreadnought.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Josh says, Josh says it's still a tough act to follow. Victorious at the bar so high, people are still trying to reach it. These pieces are iconic. They are indeed.
Thanks, Josh.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
the metal minute.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go on.
No, go for it.
Oh, no, just going back to the metal, all these pieces being in metal. The metal miniatures were very, very cool, and the plastic ones were, the standard was not very good at the time. But now I don't miss the metal now because modeling. I mean, you would would remember very well as too is with your little coping saw cutting up metal miniatures. It was it was hard work.
Yep.
There it is.
I convert so many of my models, and I remember when I first got hired at GW, which was like 2003. I converted almost everything that I had, and people would be like, "Oh, how come you don't have this model?" And I was like, "It's metal," and they're like, "Yeah, so what?" I was like, "I can't convert it," and they're like, "Yeah, you can." I was like, "Let me rephrase that. I can. It's way more work than it's worth it." Like with polystyrene, it's like I do a quick snip, a little bit of file, glue it together. The polystyrene cement turns it into one piece. It's awesome.
Yeah, and generally the plastic ones bounce when you drop them. The metal ones don't.
Yeah.
I used to tell the kids all the time: plastic bounces, metal breaks. And same with resin. Resin breaks. But I think the last metal model that I bought and built, it was probably the Space Marine Tech Priest, the new one that had the big Doc Ock metal spider harness.
Right.
So I built that one. But back in the day, one of my favorite models ever is remember the old metal Hell Cannon?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks like a
Crazy
Rubik's
character.
cube. It weighs like 6 pounds. You could kill somebody with it. It's like a 6-pound chunk of metal. It's like it's just a block.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Crazy. I think I've got I've got a metal miniature up here. All the
Okay.
so the Perry stuff that I've been painting for Silver Bayonet is all metal.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I mean, I still have a double handful of stuff. It's all weird stuff that like you can't get anywhere. Like the guys who did Moonstone, I think I have a couple of Moonstone minis that are metal.
Yep.
I know I still have a handful of like old Ralpartha stuff, and I have some stuff from the guys at who were the guys that bought all the Ralpartha stuff they're here in the States?
Iron Wind.
Ironwind.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a handful of Ironwind stuff, but like
Yeah.
I don't want it. Like I want everything in plastic.
Yep. Exactly. Patrick says it's tough sculpting for Dark Sword because they're following Tom Meyer's work. Definitely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yeah, Tom Meyer, the tiny details that he achieved were just incredible.
yeah, absolutely. Josh says Tom Meyer did a lot of those figures. He has that true anatomy style. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Paul says I need a jeweler's saw, or you need a jeweler's saw, Jake. They go around corners and they love metal. This is true.
I'll just stick with plastic. I'm good.
Awesome. Okay, so that brings us up to a time when you're doing things, you're making stuff for your own conversions and to bits and pieces, and people are starting to say, "Hey, they're cool. Can I get some of those? Or are you going to cast those up, or and do that sort of thing?"
Yeah.
What was the transition from fun hobby stuff to grueling miniatures company work?
Yeah, look, I really wanted to. Well, I guess yes, it did come out of a lot of the stuff I was doing for the demons and so on. Like one year I entered a squad of Drukian Fengard, which are basically Imperial Guard in kilts.
Yep.
So I made heads and legs for them, and I think I actually hand cast those at home. I didn't have a pressure chamber or anything, so they weren't the best casts, but they did the job. So I did little casts of those, entered that in the demons. So that was kind of, and they integrated with the old plastic Cadian set.
Yep.
And that, I guess that was the start of making conversion parts in a way, like it, because people saw them and they're like, "Oh, these are really cool. Can we get some?" And I'm like, "I'll have to find someone who can cast them." So actually that little set, I did end up, I had a Eureka. The only people I could find in Australia who could make miniatures was Eureka Miniatures in Melbourne, and he does. I think it's mostly historicals. They're still going as far as I know, and it was all metal.
Right.
So I was making little metal conversion bits. Built a little tiny web store. Didn't have many products, but it was just kind of a little outlet, I guess. You know, make something, I could get it cast up, I could put it in the web store. We'd maybe sell a couple of orders a week, if that. But yeah, and that kind of just ticked along. And as these things do, it grew and grew and grew. And eventually my sculpting skills improved, and I was able to not just do conversion parts, but do whole characters. And I really enjoyed making the characters. I really enjoy, and I guess that's why sort of the Imperial Guard type figures really appeal to me. I just love doing the faces, the characters. They're kind of, I don't know, there's something humble about the guardsmen, you know.
Sure.
It's just,
Yep.
just cannon fodder, and
I guess
they're just a lot of fun.
it'd be that thing for each regiment going, okay, there are 3 or 4 things, 3 or 4 elements that I'm going to need to represent through the squads that will say, this is a Drukian Fengard, or this is a Border Reaver, or this is a whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that sort of concept as well, when you're going through and working out what you're going to do for an army and how you're going to build it. And you've gone through and done it for How many regiments do you have now? I should have looked that up before asking that question. But
I think it's about. Yes, I should have looked it up too. I think it's about 12, 14.
right, yep,
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, and there's always more ideas to do, and there's always more bits to go back and create. So
yep.
yeah, it's really fun. And there's a couple of and what I guess what I was trying to do early on with the miniature range is give people the tools to create, the stuff they've always wanted to create.
Right.
If you've got an original idea for a regiment, or you want to build something you've seen, hopefully I can give you the bits to bring that idea to life. That's really what I was aiming to do with it.
Yep.
I think it's the best. I think people really appreciate that too. Like a huge part of the hobby is, like you were saying earlier, like coming up with the story and like the background and the like for me, like that's why like converting. It's like, well, I don't want to have 10 identical Space Marines. Like, Jess Goodwin did a fantastic job sculpting the tactical box, but I don't want 10 Marines that look the same. So I'm gonna like change their armor and convert them and do all these. Yeah, sure. There's this one guy, and then there's like 8 versions of this.
Yep.
And then one guy with like a missile launcher. Like, so I was like, cool. So I have 8 guys that look the same. But with the guard, it was even harder because in the lore and even in the books, there were so many different regiments, and they used to be really good back in the day about. I mean, GW made Praetorians, they made Valhallans. I remember when they put out Vestroyans and metal when we were at GW. Like, yep. So there were like 7 or 8 regiments that you could technically make, but you couldn't make all of them. Like there was that Talarn tank commander, and I was like, cool. Yeah. There's my one Talarn guy, and then there was like the box of Talarn Raiders. And then there was like the Steel Legion. Steel Legion probably got the most love, other than like Catachans and Cadians.
Yeah.
I think Steel Legion were sort of one of the later additions.
Yep.
To those old.
Yeah, that was like third edition. That's when the Armageddon Codex came out, and they got like a whole bunch of releases. They got the metal, the enclosed cab Sentinel, and they got their own Commissar who was awesome with the gas mask. Like, But there still wasn't a lot. It was like, if you want to make, Salvar Chem Dogs, it's like, I don't know. I guess I'll have to green stuff a bunch of gas masks on these guys and glue barrels on their backs. Like, there was no way to do a lot of that stuff. And they kept cranking out lore with all these great new regiments. And you're like, well, how do I make those guys?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
as a collector first, before I worked in the industry, I want to say thank you on behalf of all the people that I'm sure are watching this for all the conversion bits and stuff that you've made over the years, because it's been like that's what everybody wants is like how do I make this my own? How do I make these my guys?
Yep.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, that's great to hear, because that's really what the challenge has been, is to just you can never do all of them, but you can give people a good start.
For the smattering, yep.
So,
I just on the screen I've shown the penal squad with their leader. Yeah. I've shown the Brulian beastmen, and now I've got up the pith helmet heads. For everybody who wanted to do Praetorians.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah. So which one are you going to paint like a young Michael Caine? Is it the one on the top left?
Yeah, actually there's you mean this one?
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good.
I was going to say, you've already done that.
Yeah. Well, the very first thing I entered in the Demons, I think this was 2019, didn't win anything. I don't think. I didn't think it won anything, but it was a command squad of Praetorians, and it had a Michael Caine conversion in it. So that was where it started. Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely super cool. So these ones are all sculpted in green stuff, right?
No, those are digital. The ones you've got up there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're digital with the green wash.
Were the original ones? Or is this...
Yeah. Look, everything, the whole range until very recently is all analog, all green stuff. With the last couple of years, I've started doing the digital sculpting,
Right.
which has been a very, very challenging learning curve, but it's amazing. Like the possibilities it unlocks compared to analog sculpting, especially, you know, the eyesight's not getting better with the years and so on. So I don't miss being scrunched over a little green man like this. But the digital stuff is great, but always learning. It can be frustrating, and I've been able to, you know, when I've traveled to the States, I've had the privilege of sitting down with some sculptors like Bobby Jackson, Jason Weeby, and sit there with them in a room while they're doing ZBrush sculpting and them talk me through what they're doing. Because I'm pretty isolated here with this. I don't know anyone local who does this. So it's a lot of it's kind of been self-taught, you know, lots of YouTube videos, tutorials, and just, you know, trying to pick the brains of you know, people who are better at this than I am when I have the chance.
Yeah, no, I think that's there is obviously there is a difference between watching a YouTube video or talking to somebody via Zoom or Discord or whatever, to sitting next to them as they're moving the pen around, and you're able to see what's going on, and you can stop them immediately and say, "Wait, stop! Wait, what's going on there?"
Yeah. It says, "Wait, what did you just do?" Yeah. It does help. So we're getting there.
That's super impressive, though, that you basically learned how to do it analog, which is already a crazy skill set on its own, and now you're like, I'm just going to learn it digitally. Like, and clearly, like, you're doing a great job. Like, there are a lot of sculptors now that never did analog, and vice versa. There's a lot of analog sculptors who are like, oh, it's all digital, I guess I'm done doing this. You know what I mean? Like, most of the GW sculptors that were doing analog, you know, gray and green stuff, like, you know, 6-ups, didn't switch over to digital. That's not something that happened. So that's really impressive.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, look, there are some analog sculptors who've, you know, made the transition to digital, but there's some who haven't. I was actually, when I was at Adepticon this year, I was actually surprised some of the sculptors I met who were still sculpting in green stuff, and if that works for them, great. But for me, honestly, just the difference it makes being able to go digital, it's huge. And, you know, you're not posting one-of-a-kind greens, you know, to the other side of the world for mold making and all that stress about getting lost or broken. And no, I wouldn't go back. But it's a change. Like the technology is moving so quickly. It's such a, you know, you really got to be on top of it. You know, you've got to go with it because it's not going to slow down.
Yep, that's excellent. Speaking of some digital stuff and working with some other folks, I have a picture here of the Matilda Fury and the Matilda Boss. Tanks. So, I'm trying to. When was it that you kind of met up with Jake and started to? Was that around the time when you started to do that transition into digital work?
No, it was a long time before that. Gosh, I think I've been working with Jake for probably more than 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, it would be more than 10 years. And Jake was digitally sculpting way back then, and what he was doing was, I think what they call hardline sculpting. So basically hardware, you know, guns, tanks, you know, machinery, which was stuff that it was really difficult to sculpt in green stuff, and it's also stuff I had no interest in sculpting. So I just no interest in sculpting hardware. I wanted to sculpt.
Are you saying that rifles lack character? Is that what it is?
Well, you know, whatever floats your boat, but just not interesting to me.
Sure.
I'm what I think what they classify. I'm a squishy sculptor. I sculpt the squishy bits. I like doing the flesh and the clothes and things. No interest in sculpting armor and tanks and guns. So Jake slotted in there perfectly because that's all he wanted to do.
Excellent.
And he does a fantastic job of it. So yeah, all the rifles and things he would do, and we would send off to. I mean, nobody had a printer in their house then. They would go off to Shapeways to get little, very expensive prints, and yeah. So he was really doing that very, very early on. I've only been doing the digital stuff for a few years, and only really to production level for a couple of years, I guess. But yeah, he really pushed forward with that, and it's only been in recent years that the software like your ZBrush and so on have become something that is user friendly enough for squishy sculptors to use. You know, because there's other programs that they use to create the hard line stuff.
Right. Yep.
For those of you watching, not me.
Not Jake. Jake Schneider. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jake
Jake Schneider.
Jake is originally from Oregon, I think, in the US.
Yes.
And he lives in Tasmania. So.
That's correct.
Probably about 9 years ago, I think. Maybe 10 years ago, I got Jake to sculpt me a set of replacement. Well, not a set, but a section of replacement track for a Forge World tank, the original Forge World Spartan.
Cool.
The Spartan miniature. The tracks didn't line up perfectly. There was about a 2 or 3 mil gap, and so I got a section. I drew it out and I sent it off to Jake, and we did a deal where he was going to sculpt me those and send me an STL file, and I was going to paint up 3 Flames of War Shermans.
Cool.
So I painted those up, sent them off to him, and he sent me those.
Great.
And as you said, nobody had 3D printers in their houses, so I had to send it off to a friend of mine in Florida who had one that was going to have the quality that I was looking for, and he printed it and then sent it up to a friend of mine in Virginia who then cast it so I could have 2 copies. Yeah. And then I waited 5 years to use it. But
Victoria, did Jake work with you to make the sledgehammer kit?
Yes.
The big artillery piece?
Jake designed the sledgehammer. Yeah.
We stocked that for a while when we first opened. Every time I'd make an order through Reaper, I was like, send me a couple sledgehammers.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I've just put the picture up. The sledgehammer was the next picture that I had coming along.
Yep. That thing's awesome.
But so yeah, definitely super cool there. The next model that I've got after the sledgehammer, which is awesome. Mine's sitting just over the back of the monitor there. Is High Commander Lady Credence. So I was a bit of a play on the original Osaka Creed.
What? What are you talking about? Are you trying to get Victoria sued?
No. It's very different. But I wanted to throw this one in there because obviously, I don't know if people can see on the image there, but it's copyright 2018. How did you feel last year when Games Workshop released Ursula Creed, daughter of Osaka Creed?
Well, I think it was great, actually. The more diversity we can get in there, the better. So I think that was really fun. But it's kind of a circular relationship, isn't it? Hey.
Dave and I have talked about this before. There's this running joke that a lot of the creatives are basically beta testing stuff for GW. So there's a Mechanicus army now. Dave is the first person I remember building a Mechanicus army from scratch when he was working in the studio at GW US. And now there's a Custodes army. He was the first person I know to make a Custodes army. You guys are just beta testing stuff. That's what you guys are doing. It's hey, does anybody want a female sort of High Lord? And you're like, oh they do? GW's like, okay, let's make one of those.
Yeah, look, it works. Look, as long as it's mutually beneficial, that's great. I cannot say anything about this. It's kind of best to give it a wide berth, I think.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
But yeah, I really like the model they put out too. So that's cool.
Yep. Oh, did I? Oh my goodness, no.
I think one of the coolest ones I've seen, and I forget who it was. I think I was on Cyborg or something,
Yep.
and somebody made a bunch of like different female, and I think they're just called soldier heads, but it's all different. Like there's a girl with like a crew cut, there's a girl with like a ponytail, and there's a girl with like a top knot, and it's just you can do all these head swaps. And I was like, that's just awesome. Like why wouldn't there should just be more of that. And Forge World has kind of started to come around. Like I know that there's a female Stormcast head box you can get from Forge World.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was like, they're
Yeah,
just
I haven't
female
seen
heads.
that.
You can use them on anything, but
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. That's great.
So, speaking of making female miniatures and ensuring that there's wonderful equity across your ranges, when did you start doing? So, obviously, things like the Arcadians,
Yeah.
and Drukin Fengard, and a bunch of the other ranges that you had at the time. What was the first set of female miniatures that you made in that sort of?
I think it was
sci-fi
the
trilogy?
Arcadians, because we're going back to the lore and the background. So we were saying there's so many regiments, they don't make them all, they never can, but always in the background, the Imperial Guard was mixed genders. If you pick up if you're breathing, basically they're they're not fussy.
If you can
it's
carry a
the
lasgun.
Russian army. It's the World War II Russian army.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. So, and it was always there in the lore, but there were no miniatures at all. They were all dudes. So, challenge accepted. So that was when I started the Arcadian range, that was, okay, we're going to do this range with a 50-50 split. Everything that we make as a bloke in this range, we're going to make as a female. And the females are going to be wearing the same uniforms. They're going to have the same war gear as the blokes, like a modern army would. So that was really challenging, and it was difficult to sculpt, but fun. But also, really, no one was doing it at the time. There was really no female, just regular troopers out there. So that was really the challenge I wanted to get to realize.
Yep.
And the goal is to have female and male versions of everything in the range. I haven't got there yet. It's a lot of sculpting, but that's sort of always been part of Victorian miniatures, is to get the female troops in there.
Yep.
I think one of the first times I ever saw female, because again, like the Eldar always had females in the range, so I remember that. But I remember the first time I remember seeing like female Imperial troops was there was a guy in our store who ran, I think it was third edition, second or third edition, and he was running the Necromunda 8th. And because Necromunda is a hive world, he took all of the Necromunda warbands and used them. So he had Escher gangers and Escher Juves as troopers.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's awesome. But like, that was the only way you could really do it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very tricky. There just was not the miniatures to support the background.
Yep.
One of my favorite models in recent history is have you seen the female Catachan Sergeant?
Ripper Jackson.
Yeah. I don't own one, but yes, that was cool. I think that was actually based on a conversion that Mike McVeigh did back in the day.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. Yes, that was he did a 54 mil scale version.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. Oh, man,
It's
I
great.
haven't thought about that
great
miniature for a long time. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a new one that they've just done.
Oh, Minka Lesk.
Yes, it's on my desk somewhere. I can't see it, but yeah, I thought that was nice.
That's a great model too.
Yeah,
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 definitely cool.
yeah. Look forward to putting that one together.
I love with the actually with that miniature. One of the things that surprised me is they showed the sort of the sword raised, sort of charging kind of look quite a lot, but I didn't realize until I looked at one or two other models. But there's also a holding the las gun version as well, and it was nice that the two weapon options weren't just raised sword, raised chainsword kind of thing, bolt pistol, plasma pistol. It was a completely different arm arrangement, so that was cool. Sorry.
Yeah, those new plastics are another level. There's some very, very impressive engineering going on there.
Yep, definitely super cool.
Mm.
Okay, the next one, next mini picture I've got here is it's actually not a Victoria Lamb sculpt. It's a Patrick Keith sculpt for Victoria Miniatures. But it leads me on to a question from Hank at Adepticon, which was, how did you get roped into making the Adepticon miniature each year? So this is the I've got the Inquisitor Sister Joan model that that Patrick made for Adepticon 2020, which never happened. So
yes. Interesting times.
Yep.
Gosh, I can't remember how it started. I think my first Adepticon was 2013, thereabouts, because I had the Arcadians, and the first model I did was an Arcadian standard bearer,
right.
for as the official show model.
Yep.
And it all came because I was sort of, traveling to Adepticon from Australia is quite a large undertaking.
Yep.
So I was really sort of the show. I kind of had to pay, like I was doing a lot of teaching at the show, really to pay for me being there, and doing the miniature also was sort of a deal I had that sort of helped me, helped out with some accommodation and stuff, and it was just a really fun way to get involved with the show too, and sort of tie it into what I was doing. So yeah, I've had a great relationship with Adepticon. It's really the only big show that I do. I work in a pretty isolated environment, so Adepticon's kind of the one time of the year that I get to actually hang out with hobby people, and thousands of them, and and I've made so many great, so many great friends over the years, and met so many amazing artists and makers and painters and just people who love the hobby. It's a really wonderful experience, and it's been really, the Adepticon people have been really, really good to me over the years, and I really just can't say anything but praise about the whole process and the whole relationship. It's really good, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Excellent. Patrick says, I love sculpting those minis. And Josh says, Sister Joan doesn't look at explosions, she just walks away. She's got that fantastic walking away from an explosion swagger.
Yeah, that's a great mini, that one. I mean, unfortunately, the Adepticon figure is limited edition, and that one, I get a lot of requests. Have you still got any of those? And I'm like, sorry, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I thought that might be the case. I was going to ask, but I won't.
Sorry. Well, you have a talk to Hank about that.
Oh, right, okay. Nice job flipping the script and putting it back on him.
Yeah, I'm just putting it to Hank. It's his show. Good.
Awesome. That's cool. Earlier on, you might have seen me going, oh no. It was because I grabbed a photo of the Ratlings, the Halflings, Halfling Snipers, which was your first Kickstarter, but for some reason I didn't put it into the queue, so I unfortunately don't have it. So we'll talk briefly about it, I guess. So was that 2021, 2022? Early 2022, maybe?
It was last year. It was September last year.
Oh, really? As late as that? Wow. That was your first Kickstarter. You ran a Kickstarter for Halfling Snipers.
Yes, Kickstarter is something I'd wanted to do for years and years and years. But until recently, you couldn't even do a Kickstarter from Australia. You know,
Okay.
and started off, it was only US to begin with, and then they kind of slowly extended it to Europe and so on. But so it's not only been a few years where Australians can do it. So yes, I've sort of been waiting and waiting to do it. So yeah, it was a really simple little one, just a little squad of 10 halfling snipers. They're troops that I always really loved, really wanted to make. I'd never actually got around to doing it. So that was a really fun undertaking. It was it's all digital, so very challenging technically, lots of learning, sculpting those. And that went really, really good. It was a modest campaign, but it was successful, and it was really important to me to do it, have it go smoothly, get everything, all the ducks are in a row, everything's fulfilled, everyone's happy.
Yep.
Because you see some Kickstarters, that's not the case.
Yep.
And part of the challenge with that was, okay, so I'm an Australian company, started making metal miniatures with Eureka in Melbourne, but in all the years I've been doing this, there is no one in Australia who can manufacture resin, plastic, whatever, figures for me.
Yep.
So when I went resin, I went to the States, and at the moment, Trenchworks in Utah, they do all my manufacture. They're brilliant. They've been absolutely amazing to work with. Been with them for quite a few years now, but my customers are all over the world.
Yep.
So with the Kickstarter, it was like, okay, I want to be able to manufacture the same models in more than one country at the same time. So we had Trenchworks do the American manufacture and fulfillment in the Americas. We had Ramon Jan at De Tin en Roos in the Netherlands take on the European manufacture, and we've got Paul Johnson at Aetherworks in Australia and Sydney doing the Australian manufacture and fulfillment. And this took quite a lot of coordinating, but it worked. We were able to fulfill it super fast with high quality stuff with 3 completely independent manufacturers fulfilling their own regions. So we're doing that again with the current Kickstarter.
Yep.
But it's a model that it's really got potential. And I mean, after 2020 with the COVID thing, I mean, shipping stuff, everything just got so much harder.
Yep.
So
I got to say,
and one thing about
I was just going to say, I've said this to you before, but I wanted to say it to everybody. For me, like, the miniatures are fantastic, right? The miniatures are super cool. But for me personally, the excitement about the manufacturing and distribution model is super exciting. I've mentioned that to you a bunch of times, Vic, but I love it, and I think it's great that you found these people, you sourced it, and you had the vision for it, and it's something that is perfect, really, for what you're doing. So.
And the other thing too is, like, as somebody who's done a couple Kickstarters myself, and I know Dave has as well, the fact that, like, forget all this, pretend I'm just a consumer online. The fact that I can go on and back the Warhorse Kickstarter today, and I'm going to get my models in like 3 months is crazy. Like, I'm going to get them this year in literally, but like within a quarter of a year. That is bonkers. Like, congratulations. That is a pat on the back. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's part of it too. Is just trying to get it done fast. There's a lot of Kickstarters where they fulfill like 2 years out and so on. And well, I don't have that patience. And I don't want to work on this thing for 2 years. I mean, let's get it done, and do something else. It's. But yeah, thanks. It's worked out really well, and I guess also with all the logistic nightmares that the pandemic brought on us, having the 3 manufacturers kind of eased some of the stress in that.
Yep.
If one of them kind of was invaded by aliens or something, the other two could pick up the slack. So I thought, by one way or another, we'll get it done, we'll get it made, we'll get it shipped. So
there was a time there where it looked like
yeah.
alien invasion was going to be the next thing on the pandemic bingo card. But
Yeah, but I think the aliens took a look and they were like, "Oof, we're all set."
we're fine.
Yeah, probably wise decision.
It's still clear. Jumping to the chat for a second, Hank says, "What?" In reference to the sending people to him. The Tabletop Super Show is here saying, "Hey Jake, Dave, and Vic, I've really enjoyed the Halfling Sniper Squad. They are awesome." So super cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Paul Johnson says we like it. So he also likes the manufacturing distribution model. And Dave Hummel has arrived. Hey Dave, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, that's super cool. As I said, I think it's a fantastic model. But the Warhorse project, you've been working on that for, well, it's been in gestation for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I know you and I talked about it at Adepticon earlier this year. I may have thrown a little wrench in the works and pushed it back a little bit, accidentally. But I introduced you to our friend Adam Abramovich from the Army Painter, and you guys chatted and added another regiment.
Yeah, just another regiment.
No big thing, right?
Yeah, look at.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Adepticon. No, it's great actually. Adam's been fantastic. At Adepticon, I had prototype miniatures for it.
Yep.
And we had 4 regiments at the time. It was the Victorians, the Rangers, the Van Diemen World Devils, and the Desert guys.
Scorpions.
So there were 4. Yes. And Adam had this. I mean, it seems kind of obvious in retrospect, but he wanted to do grimdark winged hussars, and you're like, brilliant. That is such a good idea. Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? Like, you got to do the winged hussars. So, yeah, couldn't resist. So, got home and learned how to sculpt feathers. And
awesome.
A few weeks later, we had winged hussars. So, they were great. And then mid-campaign, we scored another regiment, and I threw in the Arcadians as well. So 6 regiments now, and that's going to do us for this campaign. We've only got 36 hours left, and there's not another regiment in me on this campaign.
We're not unlocking another one at the 24-hour mark?
No.
I'm sorry, guys. No, there's not going to be another regiment. There have been one thing that's really fun about the Kickstarter, but also just the general customer base that I have, is people are always, contributing ideas and showing off their creativity. And with the Kickstarter, so many of the backers and people on the social media have come up, say, "Oh, we need this, or we need the banner, or we need a bugle, or we need guys riding chickens, or what, all these crazy ideas." And you can only do so many of them, but it's really lovely to have that conversation going through the creative process. So that's how we ended up with the Arcadians going in there, kind of the 11th hour as well.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
No, they're awesome. Like, I was looking through them, and obviously, like, Adam and I had talked about the Hussars, and I was super excited. Obviously, both Adam and I share an ancestry where we're like, yeah, they're the best. So we definitely wanted them. But you did such a great job with, like, all of them look awesome. Like, the guys with the berets look super rad. The Van Diemen's World guys look awesome. The Acadians are super cool. Like, they're all really, really nice. So I like that they all have their own character and flavor. But they're, like, none of them seem like, none of them seem vanilla. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, well, we got Rocky Road, and we have, this, and we have this, and then we have vanilla. It's like, no, they're all, like, really good. So
don't be down on vanilla.
Good.
Vanilla's a fantastic flavor.
It's fine.
True. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm really thrilled with the models and how it's all turned out. It's been a very challenging one to sculpt. I mean, the horses are, until digital came along, horses were really, I'd say, pretty much beyond me. They're very difficult, and even with this one, I had the wonderful Jason Weeby come on board and help with the horse sculpting. And that's a great thing about digital. You know, Jason Weeby's in America, but, you know, we can work on the same sculpt, you know, back and forth with the files. And so, yeah, we both worked on the horses together, and he's such a good animal sculptor. He's the critter guy. So, yeah, so he was really helpful. So getting the horses sculpted, and also the horses are very, very challenging to manufacture, you know.
Right.
They are, you know, any four-legged animal is difficult to cast, very difficult to cast. And then you've got reins and gear, and but we've got an absolutely incredible mold maker in Ramon at de Tinnenruz in the Netherlands, and he's done the horses are sire cast, and he's done the molds himself for the horses. He's making all the master molds, and they are just, I don't have one handy, but they are gorgeous, like what he's achieved. And they're almost one piece. Like the horses, I think only two of them have got a separate leg. They're amazing. There's hardly any assembly to do on them. It's incredible. So I'm really, really thrilled.
Dave in his time, I'm sure we both built a million two-part Bretonian horses to put the two halves together.
And then the tail that goes in slots into the little slot that has the little like widget at the other end.
You gotta make sure you do that first, otherwise you can't put it in.
Yeah, and if you don't glue it properly, the tail will spin and remember their heads.
Yeah.
Anyway, yep. Yeah, we all know those ones. We remember those.
I remember those, yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely fantastic. John Steining says Polish Lancers. Yes, there are some in there, John. John Steining is also going to be at Nova. Super excited about that.
They're fantastic. Just Google Project Warhorse on Kickstarter.
Or down in the show notes
or
below,
the comments below, you can see the link.
There's a link in the notes below. And Hank says, Rattlings on ponies? Possibly.
That's the next Kickstarter.
Well, I'm going to say that...
All right, I think Hank might have been talking to the Trenchworks guys, because they've been running a sort of a campaign behind the scenes to try and get what they're calling rufflings in there.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, it's ruffling Rough Riders, and sorry guys, not this campaign.
No. I was going to say,
but there's a
part of
we've had one breakfast. Yes.
Yes. We've had one Kickstarter. How about a second Kickstarter?
Yeah. Well, there have been so many ideas come out of this one. There's so much contribution from the people backing and involved that, yeah, you know, there could be some more on the horizon at some point.
Awesome.
I was tempted to. I'm probably gonna do a unit of. I think for my Kickstarter, I picked the Hussars, and I was gonna do 2 units, but I think I just did one. But I did the Hussars, and then I also did the digital files. And I'm going to print up a bunch of the Hussar torsos, and I'm going to convert all of my tank commanders, so they're that guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
great.
A good idea.
That'll be cool. Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, they've got that nice generic armored breastplate, so yeah, that'll work.
They'll look cool.
Yeah.
And that way they'll match. They'll all...
Yep. Sorry, I was
that's
looking
part
at
of why, part of the reason, like, all the head, like the Rough Riders, all the heads are separate, and you can swap them between all the different models.
Yep.
And part of the reason I've done that and put the heads in as an add-on is that, you know, if you wanted to do up some of your infantry with the same heads as your riders, you can.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So Josh says, I have samurai riding chickens. Just saying. And then John said, horses have come a long way. These look fantastic. And then Tabletop Super Should said, okay, rufflings, but on bighorn sheep, which is amazing. And then Hank said, you heard it here first.
Fantastic.
Yeah, okay. Noted. Definitely noted.
I pledged for the Border Ranger squad, of course, and
Great.
the STL bundle. So I just only recently started doing some 3D printing, and so yeah, maybe if I take some of the horses and print them a little bit smaller, pony size.
Yeah.
And just change the ratio.
Change the ratio a little bit, and I'm sure it's not going to work perfectly, but we'll see. I'll do some test models for you. We can check it out.
Dave's gonna make his new when the new Epic game comes out, he'll have a bunch of 6 mil horses.
No, that'll be if it's a mistake, but yeah.
Yeah, look, hey, with printing your own miniatures, you can print them any size you like. So, yeah, knock yourself out.
But yeah, no, I'm super excited to get some of those in hand. So yeah, one last time I'll throw up the photo of all 5 of the the first 5 of the regiments that it launched with the painted minis, and it looks like the painting handles that you're painting those on are the same as these. Did you get those? Did you get those from?
From Jolly Lark.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Our friend Aaron.
They very kindly gave me a set at Adepticon.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, they're great. No, I've really enjoyed using those. They're nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So here's my here's my.
Oh, hang on.
Oh,
Dave, you get his
Dave,
zoom back out so we got the big picture.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Now you can show them off.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. So here's the painted riders. I only got to paint 1 from each regiment. It would have been awesome to do all 30 of them, but yeah, there wasn't enough hours in the day for that.
No,
They're awesome.
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, so you got the 5 up there, and then there, of course, there's the Arcadian. So there is. He's as vanilla as they get. But,
Still great models. The Hussars, I think the Hussars are probably my favorite, and then the Border Ranger guys are phenomenal. Yeah, that's come on, that's the best.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
yeah, they're
That's just
pretty
awesome.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sweet. That's
Yep.
super cool.
and that's the Border World Ranger there
Yep.
with his cloak.
Yeah.
There you
That
go.
looks
There you go,
great.
Dave.
They're gonna paint up nicely.
Mm.
Excited
Yeah.
about those.
Dave, you'll have to convert your bugler into a piper.
Yeah. Yep. I'll do that. I think Vic, do you have a Piper like bit?
I do.
Range?
Yeah, there's a single mini.
I'll track it down.
Yes,
Yep.
the single mini. Yeah,
Excellent.
for sure.
That's cool. Okay, we've kept you. Well, it's 8. Here it's 8:30 now. Just going 8:30. Do you have a little bit longer to spend with us? Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Okay. What we usually do at the end of sort of the last part of each show, not the end. It does take us towards the end. But is we show some photos from the Facebook group. So there's models that people have been working on, painting up, and they've submitted over the last week. First one we've got here is the first miniature we're showing off from Andrew Schaefer. So Andrew's been working on some Dark Angels. And he's got his first, he's got a Sergeant here, Power Fist pistol. And for me, this is sort of, there's a lot of early 90s or mid 90s kind of feel to the paint scheme with that red armor shoulder pad trim.
Yep.
It's definitely got
There he is. Yep.
some fun
Oh yeah, nice.
Dark Angel stuff going on, which is super
Yeah.
cool. So thanks for joining us in the group, Andrew, and for sharing your minis with us. Jake, you mentioned Moonstone before. So I think so Bing Lee, a friend from California, has posted a Moonstone mini that he's painted up recently.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the so it's the fairy wings on the back there, which are looking very
It's
cool.
really nice. The colors on that are awesome.
Yep.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Oh, it'll come up
Oh, yeah,
there.
there's a little bit of a
A
delay.
little bit of a lag.
Oh yeah, there she is.
Yep.
Oh yeah, nice.
She's looking
Is that her hair?
Yeah, her hair's all flowers.
Wow. That's cool.
fantastic. And are those bees at the top? I hope
I think those are little tiny butterflies like in her hair.
so. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
No, nice color choices going on there.
Yep. They look fantastic. Excellent work there, Bing. Thanks for that. Next up, we've got a piece by Chris Gorka. This is a squig riding goblin. Oh, well, a goblin riding a squig, but the absolutely fantastic.
Squigs are the best.
They are.
That's the next Kickstarter. It's a bunch of squig cavalry.
Squig. I thought you were going to say halflings riding squigs.
Yeah.
Halfling hussars riding squigs.
Yes, what could possibly go wrong?
There are some ideas that are fine to put aside and never look at again.
That's a very nice paint job on that one. That's great.
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
that just airbrushing on the squig?
I think so.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. But Chris's kind of his typical paint style is to have most of the model be quite desaturated, and then a really strong pop color in there, and that tongue and those green mushrooms are really working well as that
Great.
that Chris Gorka pop color. But yeah, looking great there, Chris. I think Chris posted another model today, so a little bit after I put these into the queue. So we'll get to check out some more of his goblins next week.
Do you have Christian Simonson's two Sons of Horus?
I do not have
Oh,
those.
I think he posted those today. They look phenomenal.
They do look great. Yep, they definitely look great. The next model I've got is from Chris Jones. It is the Judicia model. I have one that I, of course, will hold up to the camera, but I'm tiny at the moment.
Yeah,
So I can
it's
have
the
one in
same.
my-
Dave is holding it. I assure you, Dave is holding up the same model.
But yeah, Chris is painting this up for his Dark Angels as well.
Nice.
And having a lot of fun messing around with the texture on the leather cloak and gauntlets there.
Yeah.
So looking good, coming on nicely, Chris.
Nice.
Uh,
Yes. Work on the face, what you can see of it.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, on that skull head there, definitely. And Dave Hummel is painting up this next piece. This is his. We saw his conversion of Indrasta, which is an Age of Sigmar model, into Saint Sabat, a character from the Gaunt's Ghost novels. And here he's painted up a shrine. So when he finishes painting Saint Sabat, he can drop her in the center here. Which is really
right.
fantastic.
Oh, wow.
So you've got those wonderful white flowers around there, which is represents the Isoblime flowers that she's commonly associated with. But nice, just a nice little thing to pop on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. That's going to be really cool.
Yep.
Nice one.
Then go there, Dave.
And then he's going to put a hook at the top so you can hang the whole thing on your Christmas tree.
Well, I think he'd put something on the bottom because this has got to go at the top of the Christmas tree, right?
Oh, right. It's the angel on the top of the tree.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. But no, nice work there, Dave.
That's awesome.
Good. Next up, we have Jeff Smith has painted up. He's painted up a whole bunch of models from the, I think it's Fallout Wasteland Warfare.
Yeah.
Modiphius. And this one, the green, splash of green on the base.
I think it's his like Children of the Atom like cultists.
Right. Yep. That makes sense. But yeah, looking very cool here.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
There's some amazing work on the book, and
Yep.
yeah, really fine details there. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Some great details in there.
That Jeff, he's pretty good.
He's not too bad. we
Yeah, it's okay.
we like him. We like his work.
Yeah,
But
it's great.
yep, looks nice work there, Jeff. Looking good.
Mm.
Dave Hummel has said that the shrine is way too big to put at the top of his Christmas tree.
You just need to get a bigger tree.
Yep. Come on, we need you to be committed to the bit. Next up, we've got some more work in progress from Josh Potter. He's been working on his Hive Tyrant from the Leviathan box set. So he's getting some more highlight work on the armor plates. The chitin or the chitin? I don't know.
I've always said chitin.
You've always said chitin? I've always said chitin. Like chitins.
Well, one of us is definitely wrong.
Yeah. It's probably me this time around. It's unusual. Usually it's you, but...
That doesn't seem right, but okay.
Yeah, I'm going to stay out of this one. Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
Look, coming along nicely there.
really
Gus.
nice.
Oh, what did you say?
Nice. Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. Josh is also painting. I'm not sure if you folks have seen, but Darren Latham of the heavy metal team has been running. Well, so during August, he is running the 90s Space Marine Challenge on Instagram. So
I haven't seen it.
yeah,
Look it up. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. If you check out the hashtag, like it's like hashtag 90s Space Marine Challenge, or if you check out Darren Latham's Instagram page, which I think is just Darren Latham.
Oh, yes. Oh, we all remember that guy.
Yep.
I hated these Space Marines.
Yeah.
Oh God! Like I was like, I'd rather keep my Rogue Trader box than paint these guys. They all look like chess pieces. Like I couldn't stand them.
Well, as somebody who painted them as chess pieces, I know what you mean, though. Yeah. Yeah. But so the idea is. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, as someone who came on board, with the original plastic Beaky Marines, it took me a long time to come round to the different helmets. I was really a fan of the Beakies, and these ones I was like, don't know. But
How do you feel about the Mark VI Marines that they released for Horus Heresy?
oh yeah, I mean, I don't think I've actually seen one in the flesh yet.
Okay.
I don't have any, but yeah, they're great. It was nice to see the Beakies return for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Although I think I think I like the Beaky helmet, but I like the legs on the newer ones. So maybe I have to mix and match a bit.
Right.
I just do a ton of head swaps. I just use the new Primaris Marines, and I'll mix and match. But all of my sergeants and all of my characters all have Mark VI Beak Marines. Like, why wouldn't you?
One of the things with this challenge, if you go and check it out, there are a whole bunch of people who are painting this model in the sort of a classic 90s heavy metal style. I think Darren painted up an Ultramarine, and he's waiting till the September 2nd to reveal it. Obviously, Josh here has gone for that 90s Space Wolf style. I've seen some people painting this 90s model in a modern style, with modern paints and techniques. And I've also seen people painting Primaris Marines in the 90s heavy metal style. So it's got a lot of people like thinking a bit more about the way that they approach their painting, which I think is super cool.
Well, I think I'm still painting in the 90s style. So,
Well, your 90s style, which was super advanced for the 90s.
So although I think he's captured the goblin green base perfectly.
Oh yeah, yep, definitely.
Oh my God, I do not miss doing store projects, and they're like, okay, the base will have to be goblin green, and I was like, why?
Why? Okay. Now we're going to move on to some Marvel Crisis Protocol minis painted by Kelly Rowe. Kelly's done an awesome job. I don't know this first character that's coming up. Surprise, surprise.
That's Arnim Zola.
Arnim Zola.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I just think it's fantastic that there's a character with its head and its chest.
So he's essentially he's a former Hydra scientist who worked for the German army, and then he's basically now he put himself as a computer program.
Okay.
So that body is an android, and that's a TV screen with his face.
Okay, radio.
The thing on top is basically like a camera and like audio pickups, so like that works as his head to hear stuff,
right.
But he's the program.
Right, he's the program inside the body.
Yep.
Fantastic. But no, I think Kelly's done a great job here. Looks awesome. Has that one come up for you yet, Vic?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice bit of non-metallic metal going on there, and yeah.
Yep.
Lovely.
Looking super cool. So next up we have another Marvel Crisis Protocol mini.
It's either Marvel Girl or it's Colossus, because I know he posted pictures of both.
It would be Marvel Girl then.
Yeah.
I have Colossus to follow this one. But
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, she's looking super cool. Awesome work on the volumes. And that red hair looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great sculpt. He did an awesome job on it too. The base is really cool too. Like she's like there's like the I don't know if it's like energy or lasers or whatever, but it's like she's like jumping over it, and that's what's holding her off the ground. It's like she's like moving herself. It's a really cool sculpt.
Yep.
But he painted it in such a way that it's really dynamic and obvious, so I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, very nice.
Looks fantastic. And then the final one we've got from Kelly here is Colossus. Standing on the head of a sentinel, I think, raising the hand of a sentinel in the air.
Yeah.
But I think Kelly said that he painted both of the painted two Colossus models at the same time. So this is one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat kit. There's a terrain piece called Crashed Sentinel. And it's like a sentinel that's like sort of smashed into a building, and all you can see is like its chest, a ripped off arm, and two legs. So obviously Colossus has the other arm,
right?
And then he's like stepping on the head. Like it's a really cool piece. But it's two separate kits, but it matches up.
Yep. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. That's really nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful work there, Kelly. Thanks for sharing. Next up, we have a Blood Bowl team, Lizardman Blood Bowl team from Lonnie Mullins. Painted this up. So I think it's like the second time that Lonnie's posted something in the group, but I used to work with Lonnie back in the day at Games Workshop, but yeah, he's done a great job here.
I love that he did. I love that he did the turf bases, but then painted the hash marks like the white mark on the grass. That's great.
Yep, that's classic 90s Blood Bowl.
Oh, so good.
But no, they do look fantastic, and his little the little turn markers and coins and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Done in the carved stone look fantastic.
The chameleon skiing in the front. The chameleon skiing in the front, catching the football with its tongue.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so it is.
Yeah, looks great.
That's a really nice, colourful team. Yeah, it's lovely. Really good.
Yep. Cool stuff. Nice. I think Lonnie said that he's been playing with his son and some of his son's friends. They sort of like, "What's this all about?" He goes, "Well, let me teach you." And now they've got a league going, which is pretty cool. Next up, we've got a piece from Jake Mine's friend Ray Rappaport. He's started work recently on the Leviathan box set. So he's
this is the captain.
Yeah, so this is Terminator Captain for the Salamanders, and he's started doing some sculpting. He hasn't done much sculpting before, so now that we have a sculptor on the show, basically sculpting a Drake scale cloak is the idea.
Oh yeah. Oh cool. Yeah, so he's sculpted the scales on there. Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice job.
You can imagine this is a very large Drake that he's pulled this or cut this. This
certainly is. Those I've not seen the new Terminators in the flesh yet, but they look massive.
They are huge. They are at least 20% bigger, if not more, than the existing Terminators. But they're the right scale. Like they look like they're Terminators.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't look like their heads are sunk down and the shoulders are raised up too much and.
Like this model, somebody did an awesome photo of. Have you've seen the current Chaos Demons Hellbrute, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like the Chaos Dreadnought, the new one. So somebody took a picture of the Hellbrute with the Terminator Captain, and the Terminator Captain is almost the same size. He's like you can only see like this much of the Hellbrute behind him. It's like he almost blocks it. He's gigantic.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But no.
No, that one's coming along really well. Yeah.
Yep. Nice work there, Ray. We're looking forward to seeing you completing him over the next few weeks. Then we've got Scott Radom. Unfortunately, Scott couldn't join us in the chat tonight. He'll be watching the show a little bit later on. But here we go. We've got Star-Lord from the Marvel United game. Is that what it's called? Marvel United?
Yep, Marvel United.
So it's the sort of the chibi style minis. And
they're so cool. They're so much fun to paint.
Yep.
That's very cute. Yeah, very nice job on the lenses there. That's great.
Yep. I think there's a nice switch up for Scott. There's no green on this model.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yep. Mainly because Scott does a beautiful job painting greens. So I'd be painting green all the time if I painted like him. But yeah, it looks fantastic, Scott. And I think in the post he also thanks Jake for getting a hold of them for him.
The thing I like about this model too is he's got like the plate where his eyes are. He like feathered it out so it looks like there's like light playing on it, which is really cool.
Oh, cool. Yep. So it's more like the mask and the rest of the sort of the atmospheric suit, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks excellent. Nice work there, Scott. Looking forward to seeing some more of those Marvel Crisis United protocols.
No, those are two different games.
Okay.
You've mashed them together.
I'm sorry. I'll get it right soon. Next up, we've got Khan the Betrayer. So this is the plastic Khan the Betrayer mini from our friend Jan. Prior to this, Jan was working on a Leagues of Votan army for 40k, but all of a sudden just got the sort of the World Eaters bug and decided to paint up Khan here. So he painted this pretty quickly over the last weekend, and yep, has done a great job. So if you can apply the same same speed and color scheme to the rest of your World Eaters, you'll be in a good spot. You're going to say, Vic?
Oh, no, it's just commenting that Khan's still got his little pigtails.
Yep. Got the wonderful tassels.
Yeah,
I love Karn. Karn is like one of my favorite characters. I think he looks really cool. This model, like this model in person, it is so busy. There's so much going on. He's got like extra armor plates sticking out, and there's like 19 skulls all over his armor in the front, and then he's got like the chains coming off his wrist, and then he's got like the skulls on his shoulder, and then skulls on his backpack, and then skulls in his helmet. Like it's insane how busy this model is.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
It's certainly dynamic. Yeah, it's great.
Yep, absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I just saw in the chat, the Tabletop Super Show said Star-Lord Chibi is gorgeous. Absolutely correct. And also said, I'm working on an original epic squad army. I think I shared a picture of the War Machine in the group. You did. So that would be Stephen.
Yep.
Is there. We showed those off last week and I think the week before. So if you check out those two episodes, you'll see us raving about your epic squat Colossus, which looks fantastic. Absolutely awesome. And we're excited to see more of your tiny squat bikers. But no, definitely cool. But yeah, so Jan painted those. And then, okay, super quickly, I'm going to show this. Last week, Vic, I was really excited because I'd finally been able to get my hands, after like 8 months of searching for them, I was finally able to put my hands on some Sagittars, which are the lovely little buggies for the Leagues of Votan armies.
Oh, great.
Yep. And so I had them lined up on the desk in front of me. And I think like the first one that I put together, I just blue tacked the torso of the driver in place and his little control sort of thing in front of him. And then the other ones, I just went and glued them in place. So when I moved that at some point from the desk to the box over there, or from the box to here, I lost the torso. So
Oh.
it's somewhere in the untidiness that is my life. And so it's like, what am I going to do? And thankfully, I hadn't done up one of the mole mortars for the Chthonian Berserks, and I snagged one of the spare models there and was able to squeeze him in on that right hand
Right.
guy. Yeah, just a little bit of trimming around the waist, and he dropped in really easily.
That looks really good.
So, super fantastic. John Roberts in there, when I posted this in the group, John Roberts suggested that I just paint the canopies so that you couldn't see through them. You know, he's like, gold is a fantastic color because they have that moon buggy kind of look. But in my original, what do you call it? Hecaton Land Fortress, which is this big guy, I painted the driver in there, hiding behind the canopy. And I really like how this looks. So I wanted to make sure that I had a driver in that one, rather than going for the proper the other solution.
That's going to look great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But fantastic. So that's it. That's all the minis from the group.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
We have a
Yes, I can see the driver.
what's that? You can see the driver.
I can see the driver.
Yeah.
See the driver.
So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I've got want to do more of them. But no, fantastic. That's all the minis from the group. So if you want to share some minis with us, want to show off your minis that you're working on, you can post them into our Facebook group. There's a link in the notes down below. You can do that. We have also started an Instagram page. So far, we have made one post. We'll be making more posts in the coming weeks. I've got to make sure I can get Jake in as a contributor as well. But we'll have some more Instagram fun going on. We haven't worked out exactly what we're going to do with the Instagram page, but hey, who knows? So that brings us to the end of the show. Jake, did you have any last question? Have a last question for Victoria?
I don't think so. I mean, I know we'll see Victoria at Adepticon, but that's like, basically in like 8 months or whatever. Are there any shows down there? Like, do you go to PAX Australia or any of that stuff?
No, I've not been to PAX. No. I went to ArtCon this year in Melbourne, and that was really fun. I was invited to go over and help judge the painting competition. So, yeah, ArtCon's a good show. Definitely like to go to that one again sometime. So, yeah, but I think Adepticon's the next big one on the horizon at this point.
Let's work something out with Hank. Let's do like an Adepticon Australia or an Adepticon. We'll just call it Adepticon South.
Adepticon Far South.
Yeah, let's do it in Adelaide, so I don't have to go far. That'd be great.
Yep. Nice.
I mean, people come from all over the world to Schaumburg. I'm sure we can get people to go from all over the world to Adelaide.
Yep. Adelaide's much nicer than Schaumburg.
Hey.
I can say that. I'm allowed to. I've been to both places, so.
No comment.
Yep.
And then what we can do is maybe for the Far South show, maybe like Hank can do like the miniature for, we'll call it like Victoria Con, and we'll just do it there, and then he can do the contributing miniature for your show.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that works.
We'll definitely we'll get Hank to do that. I'm sure he'll love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, first off, thank you very much for coming on, Vic, and thanks for letting us take a little bit of extra time to run through
Thank you
this.
so much.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun.
Yeah, we've had an awesome time chatting. As I said, like I'm going to say it again because I think it's awesome. Just the way that you've approached for these two Kickstarters, the production and distribution of the minis. I think it's so many other people should be looking at that example and going, okay, yeah, this is the future. This is cooperation and collaboration is going to get us much further, really much further. then.
You broke 60K while we were on here. I just checked it.
That's great. Great. Let's keep up the good work. 36 hours to go.
36
Not long now.
Yep, 36 hours to go. We've got roughly another 6,000 Australian dollars, Australian dollary dues to unlock the banner and the bugle. So link is in the show notes below.
I think Victoria said if we do 100K US, we'll think about rufflings. So
she did not say that. She did not say
I'd
that.
have to go back and check the tape. But
Hey, if we did 100K US, well, I think anything could happen. So I won't
there
say
we go.
never.
There we go.
tell your friends, everybody.
Okay, we've got 36 hours to go. Let's make it big. But no, fantastic. And
look, everyone who's already on board with it and was on board for the halflings, thanks so much. It's been really, really wonderful to have this community, really supportive and really creative. So thanks everyone.
Yep. Fantastic. Quickly, Patrick says, great show. Congrats again on the Kickstarter. Look forward to catching up after ReaperCon.
Yay!
Paul Johnson says...
Yes.
Oh. Sorry. No, go for it. You're going to say...
I was just going to say, hi to everyone at ReaperCon. Hope you have a great show.
Yep.
That's on very soon.
That's on the same weekend as Nova, so it's in the US it's the Labor Day weekend. There's ReaperCon, Nova, and there's DragonCon as well. So lots of stuff happening in under 2 weeks. Keep an eye out for it.
Cool.
Paul says he'd be up for it. He'd be up for Adepticon Oz. Maybe perhaps we call it Adepticon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Steven says, good show. Thanks, everyone. Hank says, looking forward to seeing Vic at Adepticon. They said that's what I heard.
Yeah, see?
Yep. Excellent. And Alex from Resnova Games says, I'll be picking up a set of the Slatch caps before the campaign wraps. Definitely.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. So thanks very much, everybody. We've had a fantastic show. I have the outro screen lined up this time,
Okay.
Jake. Fantastic. I didn't do it last
Nice. Look, ready to go. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you again to our wonderful guest. And don't forget, as always, make sure you like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. Tell all your friends about it. And we'll be back next week. And remember to build, paint, play.
Shut up and sit down. 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 Shut up and sit down.